Yeah. Hey, who got this?
Yeah, well, let me go first because I'm probably the only one that's going to shit on him.
Oh man, why would you do that,
Hey,
man?
well, I'll put it this way: I'm not a
My
LeBron fan.
God, my God, my
Hey,
God.
man, whatever.
Come on,
I'm not a
man.
My
LeBron
God.
fan.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
I think they gave him. I mean, I ain't gonna take away his
Oh.
accomplishments. He's a bad ball player. I give him that. But all this talk about him being the GOAT, that just throws it for me. He's not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You know what I
relative,
mean?
man.
When
That term
when
is
when no,
relative,
I
though.
mean when you got to actually sit there and that your main point is to chase and not to just go ahead and play. His main
But
factor is to
that's not
chase.
coming from LeBron. That's not coming from LeBron.
I, oh,
LeBron's not saying that he's the GOAT.
Nope.
LeBron's not saying that he's chasing MJ. LeBron's
Nope.
not
but
doing that. It's the media that's doing that. It's
but in my
reporters, it's
opinion,
talk that's
he'll
doing that.
never,
Not
he'll
LeBron.
never, he'll never be the GOAT.
Who's your goat?
Even I mean, MJ is. I mean, he was the best overall player.
It's
I,
But
for that era,
but
though.
but
For that
but
era.
but
I
but I mean, you got Kareem.
That's what I'm
yeah, a lot
saying.
of
For
people
that era.
forget about
I
Cat.
mean, but see there was a lot of greats. But the problem is like now I understand LeBron's in the moment, and then we're lucky enough to have seen a lot of the greats from way back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we might not be as lucky to have watched Bill Russell play, but we got to see, Kareem, Magic, Jordan, all the greats of that era.
Right.
So, and like, to me, my favorite player is AI, but he's not, in the conversation of all around player.
Right. I think
But
for me, keeping it real, y'all all know I'm a straight MJ fan. Like he's my
Right.
goal all day, every day. I think it's good for me to. I was talking to a friend of mine today. It's good for me to be able to sit back, and I'm okay with Bron. Even whether people say he's number one, the GOAT, or what, I'm able to sit back and enjoy his legacy, enjoy what he's doing on the court, as well as off the court, man. Just watching him, 17 years, you can still say this cat is still in his prime in his 17th year, and I'm okay with not comparing. Just watching them. I think it's a good conversation. I think it's two different players, but just being able to, not hate on him and not love him so much like, others, because I think others can take it, too far.
yeah,
Just like
yeah.
that hate can go too far. But I'm sitting there watching. I was happy to watch last night, man, him get his fourth and give the credit. I was talking to my buddy today, and we was talking about Rondo, man. I don't think Rondo gets enough credit, man. That Joker is a beast out there on that court, man.
Great.
But LeBron's legacy, man, is cemented. I don't think another chip or two more chips, even if he lost this one, I don't think it would have did anything to his legacy. You know what I'm saying? He's able to win with three teams, able to keep it moving and be available. He talked about it last night, man, just being able to be available for his teammates. I
And that
think that's the greatest things that he could do, just simply be available, man. So,
right.
that's how I feel about it.
And that's
All
that's
right. All
just to
right.
piggyback off of what you said, Keith, is that he made himself available for 17 years. I mean he was hurt last year, but that's an achievement, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Winning on every squad that you played for. I mean, he went back to Cleveland. He promised them that he was going to get him a chip. He got that. Um,
Mhm.
he got one in Miami. He got one with the Lakers. I mean, if he's not in the GOAT conversation, something's wrong. You're looking at it from, your biased eyes, because this guy, this guy, man, is
the
17
bias,
years
the bias side.
biased eyes.
I mean, he's
No,
in the
this guy,
conversation.
this
Yeah,
guy,
The-
this guy's 17 years in, and he's still at the
Yeah,
top of his game.
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
He's still at the top of his game, man.
At the top.
So
yeah.
that
But you talk that same thing about Jordan.
no, you can't say that.
No.
You
No. We
can't say that
can't.
for Jordan.
when Jordan was with the Wizards, he wasn't at the top of his game.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Well, where we go with this?
I know. Yeah, we
come on, INF. Come on, INF. Stop it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, he's 17 years in. He got his fourth, and he was on some bad teams, man. He was on some bad teams.
He had some bad teams.
Exactly. And he would play all. I look at the minute count, man, that this guy plays, and he's done this his entire career. He has made people better. How many Hall of Famers has he played with? And I think I posed that question to you guys on Friday when we linked up. Mm-hmm. Other than D Wade, how many Hall of Famers?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, these are he played with cats that probably,
Andrew Varejao.
Yeah, D League players, man.
I don't know about no D League.
D League players. Come on, man. D League.
Nah.
Players, man.
I wouldn't say they D League.
And Damon Jones.
Damon Jones.
Man.
Yo, Damon is his number one groupie. Damon is his number one. Yo, hey Dre, I just want to add to Dre. Dre, you said 17 years. I'm saying 20 because when you count the playoffs, almost 300 additional games.
I agree, brother.
This dude has done 20 years worth of games in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and 10 straight finals. He got 4 MVPs at every.
I give him that.
At every 4 championship. I think I was telling Haas, I think he's jumped over Magic, even though Magic got 5 rings.
Yeah, he has.
I think he's jumped over Magic. I'm saying he deserves to be in that conversation of the greatest, but I know that he's jumped over Magic as far as his individual and his team achievements. And just what the dude has just stood for social issues, creating a school, for speaking out against police brutality, what I'm saying, for dealing with these things and tackling them head on. And then not only that, but like INF was saying, like he was saying, he's made other players better. You know what I'm saying? Kyrie would not have had the career that he has right now if it wasn't for LeBron. All right. Kyrie was in a rut in Cleveland until LeBron came into his life. AD would have been in a rut in New Orleans until LeBron came into his life. So what LeBron has done for not just bottom shelf players, but for elite players. Kevin Love would have been in Minnesota still.
Forever,
if it wasn't for LeBron reaching back and getting these guys to help him move forward.
Where's Kevin Love now?
He's still
on the injured list in Cleveland. but the last thing though, when LeBron gave his little speech yesterday when he got his MVP trophy, he was like he wanted to bring AD and show AD and let him feel, what it means to be on this stage, take him to this level because AD's got more career ahead of him than LeBron does right now. And for him to get this taste of winning, it's going to do something for him for the years coming. He pushed him to this next level.
Yeah. Chris, what you got, man? What you thinking about Bron, Chris?
Basically, what happens is LeBron gets penalized for the era that he played in. He can't control that. And so a lot of people forget that he wasn't in that era. That's not his fault. All he could do in it is dominate in his era, and he did that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, he has dominated. He has
we want to say welcome to everyone. Welcome to our pop-up episode of Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. I'm your host, Keith, and these are the fellas right here. This is our show. This is our podcast where we talk about culturally relevant topics, current events, local as well as national news and trending topics, and we focus on things that are going on in our Black community. So today we got the fellas with us. We got Ward. What's going on, Ward?
What up? What up?
Heavy Kev.
Yo, what up? What
What's
up?
up, Kev? We got Dre Wood
Yo.
at law. And today we got Quaz, known as Chris. We got about 30
Quasi.
nicknames, man.
What's good?
I think it's like a delay on your end, man, or even on my end right now.
Nah, it's on Chris's end.
It's on
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely want to welcome Chris, man, in on our show today. We last week we had a chance to talk about Black men's health with Dr. Schubert Parat, which we got a lot of great feedback
Yes.
from that show, from that episode.
Yes.
Amazing feedback. A lot of men went out to, set their doctor's appointments, had a
Yes,
better
they did.
understanding of what was going on, with their bodies, and just not being afraid to make that phone call and set them appointments. We also touched on the presidential debate the week prior. So today we wanted to tap into the VP debate today. With Senator Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, which happened. There was a few, I don't know if we want to talk about that fly that landed on his head. That's the but get our thoughts, man, and get those thoughts out there about, did the VP debate move the needle any? Did it change any ideas? What was some of y'all takeaways on the VP debate?
Well,
Go ahead,
Dre. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dre.
Yeah, thanks, Ward. First of all, I'm sorry I missed last week. I was able to view the last 30-40 minutes of it. Very informative. I had some family matters I had to take care of.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay, it's all right. No, come on with your thought.
Also, I need to give EB a shout out. It's his birthday, man.
Definitely.
So if he's watching right now, happy birthday, EB. But as it relates to the VP debate, I don't think it moved the needle at all. I think people are kind of like set in their way in terms of who they are going to vote for. Now, I think when they show these undecided voters, I think it's kind of staged, man. To me, I think that those voters know who they are going to vote for. I think it's just for show entertainment purposes, they had these individuals on. I don't think that the VP really, I think in this particular,
this one was important.
This was very important, Kevin.
Right.
It was very important because these two individuals may be president.
Maybe.
They may be president.
Right.
He's some old white dude.
Yeah. So this, I think that people took this debate for granted. I think it was upstaged by the little things. It wasn't as entertaining, than the presidential debate. But I think that we should have taken this debate and been more critical, of it. And I think that I'm not going to, get political here, but I think it's a clear choice, under the circumstances. It's a clear choice of, who, I believe will have the handle on and the pulse, on what this country needs moving forward. Albeit that, Kamala, has some things in her closet that, I think needs to be, addressed and needs to be addressed with some sort of sincerity in terms of, hey, I messed up back then. It was a different time back then. And, as a prosecutor, I had to make sure that I, served my community, because that's what prosecutors run on. They run on the fact that, hey, are you going to make me safe? Are you going to prosecute, these individuals who are a detriment and are causing havoc and committing these crimes in our community? So I'm not saying that, what she did in terms of, the Black community, was right, but we do have to take a step back and see, okay, well, what was she really dealing with? I don't know all the facts of the cases in terms of what she,
Right.
in terms of was she prosecuted. I don't know that, but they use that against her, opposed to, looking at that as a plus. Now, the president of the United States, he can go around saying, I'm the president of law and order, and no one, okay, what kind of law and order are you the president of? Law and order of, the black men being killed at an alarming rate by white officers? Are you the president of law and order for that? So you have to look at this in its totality and, give her the benefit, of the doubt, moving forward. And hopefully, she's able to, come across and be a little bit more transparent, in her thinking. She didn't answer a few questions. Which, I understand why, because
Mike ain't answer a few questions.
Oh, no, he
didn't answer.
The only question that Kamala really didn't come back on was this Supreme Court hacking.
Right, and I wouldn't have answered that question either.
And that's something that the Republican Party is trying to put out there, that the extreme liberals want to pack the Supreme Court, because right now, if you get this woman, Amy Barrett, in there, it's going to be a conservative court.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So Mike was evading every single question.
He evaded from the door.
But you know what?
From the door.
Right, but we expected that from him. See, the thing is that she's being held to a different standard, and people want to see, is she like this politician, or is she, has a pulse on the black community?
But the Supreme Court, but the right response on that Supreme Court issue is that is a non-issue.
No, exactly.
And that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They should come with a better answer,
right?
Because it's not an issue right now. You got this pandemic that we're in. You got voter suppression that we're in. You got police brutality that we're worried about. You know what I'm saying? That right now is a non-issue. You know what I'm saying? Let that ride. If they're going to choose this woman to be a Supreme Court justice, the Republicans have that in their favor. Let it ride. If we come to that point, they'll deal with that. But it's too many issues.
Right,
too many other issues to address that one.
I don't think it's a non-issue. I just think it's an important issue at this particular time, and it's unimportant at this particular time.
It's unimportant.
Not true.
It's at this point in time.
At this time, it's not important.
It's not important.
It's not important.
It's not important.
It's not. It's not important right now.
You know what's interesting, Dre, you was talking about, and I wanted to throw it out there. Dre, you were talking about, you mentioned the standard that was Kamala has, and the standard that that she's upholding. I think she has another standard that she has to fight, another standard that she has
Come on with it. What is it?
Uphold is that of being that black woman. Fighting off that, and fighting off the being assertive.
Blame Tyler Perry for that.
What'd you say?
Blame Tyler Perry for that. The Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Blame Tyler Perry for that. Okay,
so
he started that.
I think it's she has another thing, man, another level that and I think she did great. And being assertive, with her response, I thought the facial expressions were interesting. I think I got several of them by my mom in the past, but those expressions, but I think, fighting that angry black woman response, attitude, personality, the way she responds to Pence, I thought she did an excellent job with doing that, because that right there, Pence doesn't have to deal with, he doesn't have to deal with any of that. He could just sit there and just be a part of it, but I really believe Kamala, did an excellent job with that. And that's something that, I definitely want to talk about in the future, that that persona of the black female, the angry black female in corporate America. You know, we could definitely have a conversation later on about that. But go ahead, Warder. You look like you was going to say something.
Well, well, I think the one thing was that the Supreme Court appointee, it is an issue because of the things that are coming up before the end of the year. You know, like Roe versus Wade. That's up on the block right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if she gets
the
in,
packing up, yeah. But the packing of the Supreme Court,
understand
the packing of the Supreme Court is the issue. So they gotta try and block her. They gotta try and block this nomination from going through this week. That's the issue.
It's gonna go through.
Right.
They're not blocking nothing.
But besides that, it was more or less, you know, I kind of like listened to some of the commentators after the debate, and I got the same thing they said. It was like, you know, after the debate, no side gained any ground. It was like it was a stagnant issue that you know, if you were for Trump, yeah, they didn't move anything forward, and if you're for, you know, but of course Kamala did such a good job, you know, a better job. I'll say not such a good job, but a better job that Pence did. That, yeah, you know, if you were like riding that fence, like I think I want to vote for Biden, that fence is kind of like, you know, they kind of kicked it from under you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she kind of swayed you more towards him. You know, of course the Democrats did a little bit better job, but the debate really, they're still all doing the same thing. They're just pushing their agenda. You know, the questions at hand weren't answered, you know, the way they should have been. It was like, okay, here's a question, answer it. No, they wanted to go around the barn and say, you know, and my resume. We don't need your resume at this point. That's just the way I felt. You don't need to tell me your resume.
Dre, let me hop in here real quick, Dre. I think that she needed to introduce herself to the American people.
That's what I was going to say.
They don't know her, you know, so she's got to let them know that she's a historic black woman that made a lot of ground as DA over there in Cali. You know what I'm saying? That she broke ground being the first, the second black woman to hold one of the Senate seats. You know, she had to lay out her resume because we might be familiar with her, but everybody that was watching that vice presidential debate did not know her resume, her career, her achievements. So she had to have space to let them know who she really was and how qualified she is for this position. I don't think the vice presidential debate moved the needle. Like Dre was saying, I think it's like, if you were for Biden before this debate, you're still. If you're for Trump after this, you're still for. I don't think it moved the needle. I think Pence did exactly what the Republicans wanted him to do, which was try to clean up a little bit of the mess that Trump left the week before. I think you got to see somewhat of a civil debate, you know, without it getting without it getting messy, getting personal and things like that. Now, Pence did attack her where it hurt. Where, you know, she did have a record of her mistreatment of black people during a period of time while she was the DA out there. You know what I'm saying? So she does have that piece. Now, does she have to clean it up? Does she have to, you know, apologize for it? I think apologies are, you know, at this point in time, you know, you can't change the past. What you got to do now is what you got to do is focus on your black voters. And what are you going to do for those black people who are going to vote for you? What is your agenda for black people when it comes to criminal justice reform, law enforcement reform, even tackling reparations to some degree? The money that you're going to pour into black communities to try and help rebuild and help provide opportunities. What's your agenda other than just reform? You know,
Yeah.
we need to hear something from the Democratic, from the
For Black
Democratic candidates. What are you going to do for Black people for our vote? You know, but again, this debate, it didn't move the needle at all. You know, the fly was the biggest thing happening at this debate.
Yeah, and to your point, Kev, you know, like you said, she need to lay out, you know, her case in terms of, you know, why she is qualified, and you know, people just know her in terms of little snippets in, you know, the confirmations and the Senate hearings. You know, they get the one-liners, those things. You know, and I think that Pence, you know, to your point, Kev, I think Pence's agenda was to attempt to rattle her in some way, shape, or form. So you can see that quote unquote angry Black woman, you know, getting knocked off of her, you know, a pedestal, so to speak. You know, so I think she did a great job in being very calm, cool, and collected. Because I think that was one of the things that, because they're so used to seeing her get like snippy, you know, in the Senate confirmation hearings, but those are different.
She's a prosecutor,
right? So she was able to show, she was able to show that she has different layers to her, and she can speak to her audience no matter what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chris, you have something on that, Chris?
Basically, what happens is nobody's going to be able to please everybody on all platforms. So what you have to do is take what you can get that's positive from her and from Biden, and then look at what you have on the opposite side that is negative. Pros and cons, just like anything else. Pros and cons, put them on the list and see what's best for you. But everything is not going to be what you want. You would hope that most of it is as much as possible, but you're never going to get everything that you want as a total America.
Right.
Basically, there's no utopia.
Not at all.
But if we depended on the president and vice president to solve our issues, that's why it's important for us to vote on a local
level,
state.
Level,
you know, we got to make sure that we are voting for our local representatives, our local leaders, because they're the ones that really represent us and have our voice, and also are the ones that can make changes in the counties and cities that we live. Right.
Absolutely. And with that being said, the election is coming up in a couple weeks.
22 days. 22 days.
I heard someone say, man, that, you know, how is important. I don't know if it was on Saturday Night Live or not, when they said, why is this so important? How can it be so important if they put it on a Tuesday?
Right.
Taco Tuesday.
That's
so
important.
KD, what date you got for us? What's up, Neff?
All right, so real quick. 22 days before the election. If you live in New Jersey, you should have already received your mail-in ballot. You know what I'm saying? You should already have gotten it. October 12th was the deadline for you to have received your mail-in ballot.
Right.
All right. So if you had not received your mail-in ballot by now, you need to contact your county court clerk. All right. That's the first thing. The deadline for your voter registration is October 13th. So if you are not registered to vote, what's today's date? The 12th. Oh my God.
That's tomorrow.
Oh my God.
That's tomorrow.
Oh my God. You got to do it now. Voter registration deadline is tomorrow. All right.
Hey, yo, hold up. I'm sorry. Yo, why I feel like you're doing church announcements right now. I feel like you're doing church announcements right now.
I give it honor to God and to my pastor. I would like to let you know that we are serving fried chicken in the back afterwards. I know fried chicken is the leading cause of hypertension, high blood pressure. Yes, go ahead. You can
Hey, Katie,
all right, we're definitely live. We're definitely live, man.
I got. So your ballot, when you mail it, the latest that you can have it postmarked is by November 3rd. All right, that's the latest that you can have it postmarked.
Right.
All right, you can mail it in. Okay, you don't have to even put a stamp on it because the postage is paid on it already.
Yes.
All right, so you ain't got to stamp it, and you can drop it off at your election office. They got 24-hour surveillance, so you can drop it off at the election office. You can drop it off at one of your secure ballots in your city. We got one up there by Board of Social Services downtown. And there's a couple others all throughout Camden County. Or you can drop it off at the County Board of Elections, or you can drop it off at your polling place on election day. All right. And that's all I really got. That's the main dates that we know.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
If you ain't registered, man, you behind the 8 ball.
Big time.
You got to tomorrow to get down there, register. You could do it online. You could go today or early tomorrow, or you could get down and go down there in person and register. Also, while you're voting on the ballot, there are 3 questions that we need to pay attention to. Historically, those questions for me, historically, I just see them when I go down to the polling booth, and I never knew what they really meant until about 10 years ago. I ain't paid them questions any attention. You gotta read them. You got to read them. So, Wardy, what you got for us, man? Don't fight with that.
Number one.
Yeah.
Take them one at a time. Take them one at a time.
We're going to take them one at a time, brother. One at a time.
Because he got issues with a couple words. So I ain't going to say which one.
Whatever, man. All right. Question number 1 asks whether to allow for adult recreational use of marijuana. If this is approved, marijuana would be taxed and regulated by the same state commission that oversees the state's medical cannabis program. That's number 1. Y'all want me to go through all 3 or just one at a time?
Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about it. How y'all feel about this being legalized in New Jersey?
I say legalize it, but we're going to have some, something to follow behind it. Not just legalizing it, but, decriminalizing it.
That's the thing.
But here's the thing: we got to do. But I understand we got to take one step at a time. First step is to make it legal, because of course, they want to make their money off of it. That's the only reason why they want to legalize it. They can tax it and make some revenue.
What, Chris? What you got, Chris?
Repercussions as far as now you make it legal, so now you got to go back to these people who got locked up. For that, you got to go back. And I think Drake can further expound on that, but you got to expunge all of those people. Absolutely.
Right.
That's a big issue.
But the thing is whether or not they will make it retroactive.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the thing. If they make it retroactive, then you got to do all that stuff. Just like they changed the DUI laws, but moving forward, if you were convicted or had a outstanding DUI case prior to December 2019, you don't fall within those purviews. So they have to be a little bit more specific in terms of what they want to do from here moving forward as it relates to legalization and decriminalization.
Right. Well, right now they just want to say recreational use. So to me, that kind of says, just for the person that, basically the user without the medicinal card, it would be legal for them to purchase and have, but not for distribution purposes. For that person selling it, not somebody like, I know we kind of touched on it earlier, but not that person having that party and passing the blunts out to everybody. Not that dude, but the dude is actually bagging it up and trying to sell it without the government collecting taxes on it.
Right. So Christy went out. So I'm kind of not in support of it. I'm kind of not in support of it. And one of the major reasons why is because the Black community has been negatively impacted by giving us felony offenses, criminalizing us, sending us to jail for hard sentences for distribution and possession of marijuana. making many of these cases felony offenses where we can't even vote now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
So my issue is you got a possible $3 billion industry coming to New Jersey. I want black lawmakers. If there's any black lawmakers out there, I want you to block this on one condition, that you will allow black people to get licenses to have dispensaries, to make having these companies affordable to us, for us to be able to have loans to run some of these businesses, because you cannot let all of white America prosper off a $3 billion industry that has directly hurt us. And I would just ask black lawmakers to look at this and not move forward until they show that there is something in it for the black community who has been negatively affected by marijuana charges. All right. So you got all this money coming in. I want to see how it's going to help us. Can we have dispensaries? And can we have a part of this $3 billion pie that all of these white people now, they got senators that are now part of the cannabis industry making millions of dollars when they were behind throwing black people in jail and charging us for this. We have to be able to have some type of ownership and some type of business in this $3 billion industry, and to make it legal without knowing how it's going to help us or how we can be a part of it. I wouldn't be in agreement until I know how it's going to help the black community.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So it's important that you, and this is why, you know, we do our research and get a better understanding of these questions, because we could possibly be voting on things that don't affect us or affect us in a way, in a negative way down the road. What you got for question number 2, Wardy?
All right. Question number 2 asks whether to extend property tax deductions to veterans who did not serve in wartime. If this is approved, veterans and their widows or widowers who served during peacetime would get a $250 tax deduction. Those who were permanently disabled during peacetime military service would get a full property tax exemption. Now, I would say yes, because think about it. I mean, they're veterans, whether they served during peacetime or wartime. They signed up to go, not knowing if it would be peace or war.
Right.
True.
You know, even at peacetime, some of them signed up and they end up going to war, and then vice versa.
But not only that,
Go
peace and wartime are just labels. There's always something
Right.
going on.
There's always something going
We
on.
don't know.
Yeah. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
Right. Yeah.
That's a big point.
Yeah, I concur with that. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly that, you know, that particular question, I agree with, you know, that we should begin to start taking care of our veterans. You know, my grandfather was a veteran. Yeah, a lot better. My grandfather, my uncles, you know, are veterans, you know, and they were just fortunate enough to be able to come home, and they were in wartime. They were able enough to come home to get a job. But we have a lot of, you know, veterans who come home as recently as the Iraq War or what have you.
And ain't got squat.
Don't have squat, you know.
They're not taken care of now.
Exactly. So I think that that's one thing that, you know, we need to be as a black community, because we sign up for, you know, these armed forces. You know, I never wanted to be a part of armed forces, but
not at all.
But you know, sometimes it is, you know, people look at that, you know, young people look at that as a means to an end, you know, in terms of, you know, furthering their careers and things of that nature. So we just have to stick behind them, stand behind them. I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I agree with Chris. I agree with Chris. Like, you know, it don't have to be wartime for you still to be on the front lines in a battle. And can be injured by a bomb blast, even though it wasn't designated a wartime. And, you know, they deserve to have the same benefits as those that served during times of war than those that didn't. And then there's a lot of people that's not on the front line that are still serving in some capacity. as military veterans,
Right.
and they should still afford the same benefit, rather than if they were on the front lines or if they were just doing whatever it was that they were assigned to do. So so I agree with moving that forward.
We got question number 3.
We got the stumbler.
Take your time. Take your time.
Take
your time,
question 3. Yeah. Asked whether to delay the redrawing of legislative district boundaries if the federal census count of the New Jersey population is delayed. If this is approved, the state would delay the reapportioning of legislative districts for 2 years anytime the U.S. Census Bureau does not provide data to the state by February 15th of the year at the decennial census.
Okay.
So, hey, I kind of agree with that personally, because you think about it, you like we were discussing a little earlier. Yeah, we need that information to actually to make those boundaries. And if they just go ahead and just start drawing boundaries without the information, that could really affect us. Could really hurt us.
Yeah. This pandemic has slowed down the whole census process.
Yeah.
And they need the Census Bureau needs time to adequately collect that data, to count the communities that are really growing, especially the minority communities. If they don't effectively count us, we're going to, like we talked earlier behind the scenes, we'll be underrepresented, like Chris had pointed out. So the last thing we want is for everyone who's representing these certain districts to have an equal number of population, an equal number of persons in the district that they're representing. Because if a person has two more than the other in their district, because you need signatures in order to get on certain ballots. And if the population is more in one district than the other, then the person with more in his district is eventually going to be able to get on and get ahead. You know what I'm saying? So it's important for them to have an equal number in their districts that they serve, so that we can be represented by our House of Representatives on a local, state, and federal. It kind of reminds me a little bit about gerrymandering, how they kind of draw lines around states based on a person's race. I think gerrymandering and redistricting, it's kind of it has the same kind of concept to it. You know what I'm saying? And the federal, a lot of these people can redistrict things without us even knowing. Can draw lines around certain communities and things like that. Like you said, the redlining, they just put a map up and they start highlighting areas, that are heavily populated with minority communities, and they start to not count them in anything. Go ahead, Chris.
This kind of goes back to the thing about government and everybody voting for the president, but not being mindful of the lower levels of government. You have to be informed. Number one, you have to be informed, and you have to care about what's going on in your community. It's easy to turn on the TV and see what's happening as far as the president, but you don't see anybody who will affect you directly on a local level on TV.
Yeah.
Be informed.
Right.
And to you guys' point, I mean, first we have to, make sure that our, people fill out these census. I mean, because they don't, I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
So, we have to stand up and be, counted, because and like Chris said, be informed, because we aren't being counted in a way, where we can make a difference in our local community, and then that will translate nationally. We get these individuals into local and state government, that translates nationally.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm looking at a comment, Keith, from SC Turner. She said, "I'm surprised Trump didn't end the census process." And he was trying to finagle to end the census count now. And I think it has something to do with this question being on the ballot, because by them not being able to redistrict certain things or being able to just use the data that they have now, which is insufficient, it would have really benefited Republicans more than it would have Democrats as well. You know what I'm saying? If they were just given the information that they have right now. Now we got a deadline until 2021, I think, February 2021. Is that what the question said? And then if things aren't up to par, 2023, they'll hold it off.
That question.
So Trump had his hands in Trump had his hands in that census to try and thwart it. I think for this main reason, so that certain communities would be not counted sufficiently. I agree for it to be delayed.
Yeah, shout out to Big Scott for that comment.
What he say? What he say?
That was the one you read, Scott Turner, SC Turner.
Oh, okay,
Scott Turner, yeah, class of '86.
Oh, when you said Big Scott, I thought it was Big
no,
Scott
not that Big Scott. No, not that Big Scott. Big Scott Turner. Big Scott Turner from '86.
Yeah, so was it? So the next topic, man, that was our segment on the election. We wanted to definitely just touch on that. It's important that everyone just get out and vote. Do your part. Registration, last day of registration is tomorrow. So if you haven't registered, go online, register online, go in person tomorrow, try to register, let your voice be heard, and vote. The election is November 3rd. So we hopefully we can do our part to get out there and vote. So that's our segment on the election process. The next part, wanted to get your thoughts, man, on I think we touched on it a little briefly on the kidnapping of the threat of our Michigan governor. And I think that was sometime last week. Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I wanted to get your thoughts, and it seems like Trump been trying to come at her for a while.
Yes, sir. He actually was like, I think you put them into action.
Yeah, when he said stand down, I don't know if that's
no. Even way before that. Yeah, he had made mention of you need to get the governor of Michigan, make her come around. She need to open the economy back up. Oh yeah, he made a lot of mention of trying to get her.
Yeah.
Well, I think that these are the times. This is one more example of the times that we're living in. We have the highest office who goes on television, says these buzzwords, whether it be Fox, whether it be, CNN, whether it be, just the media, period. And, we have all these extremist groups here in the United States. These groups in the United States are, in my opinion, are more, deadly and more of a national security concern than overseas, because they're here in house, So this is another, as I stated, another example of how we are as a country dismissive of certain things that this administration is doing and what they're saying and what type of examples that they are laying out there. For somebody to have a plot to kidnap, to eventually a public servant and a governor. That's closest. That's the closest office that you can get to a president in here in this country. Of a state, governor of a state, man. And we're looking at this. I mean, I really didn't see it in the news that much. I saw it one day, here and there. I saw her interview on CNN, But this is something that if they're going to do this, they will do it to anyone. And that's very, very, very,
Right.
very scary.
But you know what? This whole thing it's not like it's new. It's
No,
been
no,
going
definitely
on
not new.
forever. You know what I mean? It's just that Trump got in the office and he's just made it more, made it more okay for them
Yeah,
to
it was
come out and say
underground. It
that
was underground. Yeah.
they're still doing it and they're not, now they're not afraid to show us that they're part of the KKK and
Now, question,
and these extremist groups.
question was: are these the same individuals? And probably not. But are these same individuals that stormed her?
Yes.
Stormed the
Yeah,
Capitol
yeah.
at that time with the gun?
Yes.
They
Wow.
and they were training. They had mock kidnappings of of taking her.
Jeez.
So they were planning for a while.
Yeah.
And
So if I can take weapons,
one of the dudes was from Delaware.
Oh my God.
But
So
if
it's
I
not
can
like
take
they
weapons
just
and
go ahead.
go to a state house and protest whatever I want to protest without repercussion, then why can't I do this? Because there are no repercussions.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. There should
But
be a
they
law. There should be a law in place that you can. And we were talking about this too. That no civilian should be able to have any type of firearm in, near, around hundreds of feet of any type of state or state government, any type of government building. Because again, these white groups are not perceived as a threat. But if you had some black militant men on these same grounds, I'm sure we would be met, with some armed officers ready to take us down.
They ready to do it if a black man is taking pictures.
Yeah. So
yeah,
but like Morty said, Trump has been targeting her for a while now.
Yeah, he has.
And he knew that because he knew these militia groups over there were ready to really incite violence. And that's what Trump is living off of right now. Anytime violence pops up in these democratic cities, he's blaming these democratic governors for not having control. So he's using these all as props to say that this is the world you're going to have under Joe Biden.
Yeah, because he's pushing that.
Right.
Because he's pushing that he's weak. Agenda,
But he's not. He hasn't said anything about the governor. Not apologize, but I hope she's doing well, her and her family, things like that.
Right.
He hasn't done any of that. The only thing he's done is place more blame on her via Twitter that she's the one responsible for this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is what Trump wants. He wants this divisiveness. You don't even hear from the Attorney General Barr
on this. Yeah. Yep.
This was his Department of Justice and FBI that has figured all of this out, and you don't even hear anything from the top cop about what just transpired and what happened. And what they're going to do to make sure that government officials are safe. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but this ain't the end. This ain't the end. You got over 200 militia groups in America. And don't you know they're going to have some copycats right now? So every governor and every mayor, you better step up your intel and your security.
Absolutely, you definitely will. Yeah. Hey, Ward, can you get it? If you can, man, talk to us. I know today was the first day of the confirmation hearings, man. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, I mean, I was kind of busy at work today, so I couldn't really.
Oh, the Supreme Court seating. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't slide off and kind of listen to any of it. But I mean, as far as she's concerned, I really do think we need to wait. Just like they made, just snatched it from Obama. Near the, and it wasn't, and he even had a longer amount of time left in office.
Months, besides, 3 weeks.
Yeah. So it's like I really think they should put this on hold and let let the next president decide what's gonna happened with the with the Supreme Court, because I really think, like they got this issue at hand coming up as far as Roe versus Wade, and you get these conservatives in there. I understand, you may have your religious beliefs, but you don't have the same religious beliefs as everybody else in America. Everybody is different. So you just have to go in with a moral conscience saying like, look, we need to do what's right for the people, not right for what's my ideology.
Okay. But I think in terms of the Roe v. Wade, it will be a slippery slope, very intrusive, because the government now, is determining what women can do and not do with their bodies. So that's very
and
intrusive.
Mostly dudes, mostly dudes.
And then it'll be a slippery slope. But as it relates to the hearings, it pretty was. I'm not going to say a boring day. I got a chance to look at some of it, and it was just pretty much the Democrats attempting to putting their plea on record. They know it's going to get shot down, but they're putting their plea on record that, hey, we need to wait until, we have this election. And, by way of having this election, then the people would have spoken and be able to say, hey, well, this is the type of Supreme Court that we want in our country now.
Dre, how important is it to have that? And it's such a blessing to have a lawyer on here with us. How important is
That's my lawyer, man.
to have your plea on record? How important is that?
Well, I mean, it is very important, because you go back and, everything's political. So, one of these individuals they run for, office again. They be like, listen, see, I was the person who said that, hey, we should wait, just like they do with the war, in terms of voting for the war.
They always bring that up later on.
I never support that. I didn't support that war. And you see what happened.
Congress should approve it.
Exactly. So, but it was tomorrow. It will be a little bit more of a fireworks, because now they will be able to, she, the nominee, she did her opening in regards to laying out her case as to, her morals and values. And, obviously they all say the same thing. Hey, I'm going to be fair and impartial and, what have you. But what is interesting, I think she has like 5 children, and one of the children I think she adopted from Haiti, so so she had 5 of her children in the back. I think one of her other children is autistic or disabled or something like that. So she spoke about that, but really, it was more so a process where the Judiciary Committee did their openings and put their please on record.
Got you.
Yeah, I know the Supreme Court got a few things on the docket coming up, like the Affordable Care Act, like what's the other one? Roe versus Wade, and I think they're also going to be looking at the renewal of the Voting Rights Act as well. Which is something that we got to be concerned about too, as Black Americans. There's
big time.
There's something coming up concerning renewing the Voting Rights Act, and I think that might be on one of the dockets for the Supreme Court to take a look at. But number one, you already know that she's biased against certain topics when she's written papers, and she's talked about her beliefs concerning abortion. And her being totally against the Affordable Care Act, which is giving health care to millions of Americans, and now that people are in a pandemic, and if you've had COVID, you now have a pre-existing condition,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And Trump and his administration hasn't given any type of health care plan that includes pre-existing conditions. So everybody that's been affected by COVID-19 that has been positive for it, you're going to develop some type of possible pre-existing condition. You know, if it's respiratory, if it's something, you know, it's all going to be related to this COVID. So, you know, by taking that away, people that's had COVID now are not going to be able to have insurance to be treated for something that had already, you know, a condition that had already existed in their body. So, you know, she's already made judgments in papers and some speaking engagements about where she stands. The other thing that she needs to be asked about is, will she recuse herself if this election goes into litigation? Because it's already been surmised that she's being placed there so that she could have a favorable ruling, a ruling in his favor. You know what I'm saying? If it comes down to litigating this decision of who's going to be president at the Supreme Court level, you know, so you know, she doesn't have to recuse herself, but she should be asked that question, because you know, everybody knows that is the answer to the $1 million question. You're only being put on the Supreme Court,
rubber stamp,
to rule in Donald Trump's favor. All right. And the last thing about abortion, I think it's even deeper than religious beliefs. I think they say you're either for abortion or you're against abortion, really, when it's pro-life versus pro-choice. You know what I'm saying? And women feel strongly, as so we all should, about a man, for us to be able to have laws on what a woman does with her body. And there's no laws to say what a man should do with his body. You know what I'm saying? There's no law saying that after 5 children we need to give vasectomies. You know what I'm saying? So you know, so you know, but the thing is, pro-choice versus pro-life. You look at how abortion has really negatively impacted the Black community. Planned Parenthood is in almost every hood in America, and the number of abortions that the Black community has been able to have it's in the 100,000s to millions. You know, so on the one hand, for those that say pro-life, there's an argument to be said about how it has affected the Black community by allowing abortion all the way up to almost a full term. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but but again, pro-choice, it should be a woman's right to be able to determine, especially if it has something to do with her health.
Agreed.
And being able to care. So there's all these issues that, you know, we got to be able to talk about and think through, you know, rather than to give a total answer that you're for it or you're against it. You know.
Yeah, but I think the murky point is, you know, also is, when does life occur?
Actually begin.
I think exactly actually begin. So I think that's the issue, you know, as well. Does it begin, you know, conception, or does it begin in 3 months, or, you know,
6 months?
So that's I think the more, you know, of an issue than anything else that's been debated for like decades here, you know, is that, you know, people are more concerned with, you know, when does life begin. And to Kev's point, you know, I agree wholeheartedly, man. Is choice, you know, versus what? Choice versus what? Non-choice, right? You know, choice. If, you know, you're not. Is it your right to?
It's either pro-choice,
right? If you should have a right to, you know, determine what goes on, you know, with your body. Just like people put in wills. Like, listen, if I'm on the, you know,
if I'm on life support,
if I'm on life support, you know, pull the plug. They have a choice and they can't even make the choice at that particular
Right.
time.
Yeah, right. Good point. Yeah, good point.
They make it, whether it be in a will, whether it be power of attorney, whatever the case may be. So
Yeah.
I think that, moving forward, that people need to, think about, what Roe v. Wade, actually can stand for, because it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
If you do this, then they're going to say, hey, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this with your body. And that's a scary, scary circumstance right there.
Right.
Hey, fellas, man, I thought we just had another amazing show tonight, man. Again, we can't press the envelope enough to tell people to get out and vote. It's such an important factor to, let your voice be heard. So, registration last day is tomorrow. Go, do your own research when you talk about Roe versus Wade. Those 3 questions that's on New Jersey's ballot. Each state has different questions on there. So if you're in Pennsylvania, I know we have listeners in Pennsylvania, Missouri, Georgia, and New York. If you can, just check those questions out. Do some research on it, understand the questions, get better knowledge of what's going on in your state. So, fellas, appreciate it. We had a good time.
Yes,
We want to thank
great time as always.
If you can, would you say?
Keith, it's not Christopher Columbus Day. It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
I didn't say Christopher Columbus.
No, I'm just saying. I didn't say you said it. I didn't say that. I was just saying.
I was like, hold on, did he say that?
I didn't say that. We just had to put it out there. It's not, they need to stop saying Christopher Columbus Day. They got to change it officially to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Exactly. Only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace, huh?
Hey, I don't get Wallace. It off anyway, so it don't make a difference to me.
Well, there's certain things that was going around.
It's not about. But it's not about
y'all tearing down statues and y'all.
I know it ain't about
the day. Yeah. But it's not about the day off. It's about recognizing that it was.
Oh yeah, I know.
It was 10 to 20 million genocides of Taino people in Haiti that happened. Taino in Haiti.
But here's my thing.
And the thing about it, Columbus didn't even land in North America.
That's what I was going to say. That he never set foot in North America. He landed in the West Indies. He landed on little islands and not in the on the continent.
Hey, I want to
go ahead.
Now I want to give a shout out, man, to Rob Tufnell, my dude, man. Down at the Melanin Market. Rob Tufnell, he's been doing art for over 40 something years, man. He hooked us up with our Just Our Thoughts painting. So that we got.
I didn't even know about that. Let me see. I ain't even.
You ain't see that?
Yeah. Check Rob out. Go to Rob Tufnell on his Facebook.
Yeah, I definitely gotta make it out there.
Yeah, or Birdie Bread Art. Check out Birdie Bread Art on Instagram. I think you need to catch Rob now because I told him last week his prices need to go up. Rob, he cheating himself right now. Rob prices need to go significantly up.
I gotta hit him up now before.
I know. Yeah.
Before take off, man.
He charged you JJ prices.
I ain't gonna be able to afford him after this show.
Catch Rob now, man. He's doing awesome. He's doing a great job. Definitely a fan of the show. Everybody, if you can, go to Just Our Thoughts YouTube, subscribe and like. Go to Just Our Thoughts Facebook page, subscribe and like our page. Check our content out. Share our content with everyone, if you can. So this is Just Our Thoughts with the fellas. Have a good one. See you next week.
Peace.
Yeah.